flower bar. And if you're watching this, it's probably because you ordered or received one of these fun little gifts experiences. We're calling them our plant projects. It's part of our quarantine collection, but hopefully we'll have them after all this is over and done with. So we're gonna start with the museum. In your project bag, you should have a pair of gloves, which are super handy and awesome right now, dual purpose. You can use these not just for gardening. You will have a bag of cactus soil, which is different than regular soil, and we'll kind of talk about why in a minute. You will have a bag of rocks. Yes, you just paid for a bag of rocks. Quarantine makes you do crazy things. You should have a container. It's a zigzag container. It's super fun and modern. And then in the bag, you should also have 3 succulents, or if you chose the cactus option, you will have 3 cacti. Cacti is the plural for cactus. Don't say cactuses. It's not cool. Wear the gloves, especially if you're working with the cacti. And I have one here to show you how to get these out without getting pokies in your hand. So cactus soil is different from regular soil in that it has more drainage properties. It doesn't hold as much moisture. Cacti and succulents don't need a ton of water. So either of these guys that you receive should only be watered once a month, literally one time a month, and think like an ice cube amount. If you water them more than that, they're going to get root rot and they'll die. They'll be super unhappy, and plants make people happy. So don't kill them. So to start, you're gonna wanna take the rocks and you'll just wanna put a really thin layer in the bottom. And the reason we do this is to create a layer of drainage. There aren't any holes in the bottom of this container. So in the event you overwater this, then the water will sit in the rocks and not in the soil. So you'll have a nice little layer of rock at the bottom. It doesn't have to be super thick. You don't wanna use all the rock that we sent you. And if you are somewhere else, not in Arizona, we're in Scottsdale, you can get all of these things at, any local home improvement store. We're just using like a pebble rock, and cactus and palm soil will work. We have a local mix of soil that we use that is tailored to our soil and the plants that you find here, but you can totally find all of these things wherever you are and improvise a little bit. Have your rocks down, and then we always tell people, like, place your succulents or your cacti how you maybe want them, and see like, oh, do I want them in this configuration, or do I like this guy over here better? So let's say we go with these guys. So I always put them in the order that I want to plant them. This is super simple. There's only 3 of each. So this is like beginner level. You really can't mess this up. So then you're going to take a little bit of your cactus soil and put it on the bottom above your layer of rocks. We always say in the workshop, like, make a mess, have fun. We always clean it up. Unfortunately, you're probably at home, so you're gonna have to clean up your own mess. We're not there to help you with that, so maybe don't make a huge mess. I don't know. So you'll wanna put a little bit of dirt over your rocks, and then the succulents, they're much more resilient and you really can't hurt them. People are always very delicate and gentle with these guys, and you can handle them, and don't like hulk them or rough them up, but you can kind of squeeze the container a little bit and you'll get this whole root ball that'll pop out just like that. So then you can kind of clear away a little bit of the soil. See, I already break my own rules. I want to put it somewhere else. And you can just kind of tuck it in its little home, right? Just like that. We have this really cool terrarium tool set. I really like it because it has fun tools that are useful. If you want to add it on, you totally can. If you don't, you can do all this with your finger or the back of a pen or the back of a little like garden shovel. But I just go and I kind of break the top of the soil around the succulent so that it kind of falls into the container. And then you're just going to kind of push a little bit more soil in around the sides. There's this tiny little shovel guy, which is handy for that. You can get little bits of dirt, push them in, and you're just going to keep filling around each one, and you can use the back end to tap the soil in because you want them to be really secure in there and have soil all around the plant. So you're going to do that with each of them. So that's what I'm going to do right now. Also, while I'm doing this, I'm going to tell you a little bit about succulents. Succulents are called the camels of the desert because they literally hold water in their petals or their leaves So that's why they're really plump and kind of hard. So they're made to hold water and not be watered all the time. Back to why you should only water these guys once a month. Also, they sometimes have this white film on the petals. Like when you touch them, you can see like you kind of scuffed it or scratched it. It's not, you're not hurting it. You didn't scratch it or anything. It's literally like a sunscreen that protects them from the sun. So if you smudge it with your finger, it'll definitely come back. You didn't hurt the plant. So don't worry about that. So now I have all 3 of them in their places in their little zigzag container. And I'm just going to keep putting soil in all around until they're perfectly secure and planted and the soil is holding them all in place. You don't want to fill the soil to the rim of the container because then when you water it, it'll go everywhere. So you do want to leave a little bit of an edge or a lip where the water can be absorbed into the soil and not just spill everywhere and make a mess. These guys will shoot off little pups. That's what we call them. And if you break off one of the fronds, you can set it in soil and it will root and sprout another one. These guys, they'll like to be in bright, indirect light. In Arizona, we always tell people don't put these in a west-facing window because the sun here in the summer especially is just way too hot. Tapping around with the end of one of the little terrarium tools, or like I said, a pen or the back end of your shovel, whatever you want to use, your finger, and it feels like there aren't any big holes where I can get the end of this in really far. So this guy seems pretty planted. I wanted to show you before we finish, in the event you got the cactus version of this, because there is a succulent version or a cacti version. If you got the cacti version, you're going to get 3 little cacti plants and they look like this. The little handle is so that you don't poke yourself and grab them by the plant. You can use the base, but the little handle comes out at the base. You can just kind of unhook it. And then people always ask, how do you get cacti out without grabbing them and having a ton of prickles and thorns in your hand? The easiest way to do this is to just cut the side of the container. And you can cut anywhere along the container. You can use normal scissors. Just try and cut at 12 and 6 o'clock so they're opposite each other, your cuts. And so when you do that, it will literally just open up and then you can grab the cactus by the root ball and put it into your museum container. So that is how you do that with the cacti version of this. Otherwise, you have successfully, hopefully, at this point, planted a museum plant project with 3 little succulents or 3 little cacti babes. And now you get to water it once a month and watch it grow. So happy growing, friends.